Call to order, St. Joseph City Council of Tuesday, January 17th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Me first or Kevin?
It's up to you.
Yeah. Kevin first, you first, Kevin second.
Okay. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rich Schultz,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully the duties of the office of mayor of the city of St. Joseph, Minnesota,
discharge faithfully the duties of the office of mayor of the city of St. Joseph. So,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Don't jump ahead.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Kevin Klusner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully the duties of the office of council member
and to discharge faithfully the duties of office of council member
of the city of St. Joseph, Minnesota,
of the city of St. Joseph, Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
You want this back?
No, you gotta sign it.
This mine?
Yeah, you gotta sign it.
Okay, good, done. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. And to you.
Item 3, public comments. Anyone wishing to speak to the council regarding anything not on the agenda, please step forward. Name and address. Seeing no one step forward, item 4, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda. Any concerns, changes, or issues? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, consent.
Move to approve.
I second it.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any issues or concerns you want to pull? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion does indeed carry. Item 6, we have a presentation tonight from Granite Table. And just so everybody knows, before Therese left, Therese and Kevin and I saw this presentation, and we're gonna record it again. We're not gonna take action tonight, but we're gonna listen to the presentation and take action at another meeting.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if it pops up on screen. While that's loading up, let me know if there are issues. I'm Claire Richards. I'm a volunteer with Granite Table and a local business owner. I'm here with Dr. Dave Tilstra, who is also a volunteer with Granite Table, and we're just really grateful for your time today. We're excited to share a little bit about what we're doing. So, let's see if it pops up.
Please hold.
I love technology, by the way.
Yeah. We'll give it like 10 more seconds, and then I'll just charge forward.
Well, you said you're, while we're waiting,
Yeah.
What business is yours?
I own a business called Impacts. So we're a startup. We started in 2020, and we help parents and educators access school supplies for students.
Thank you.
Yeah, we operate across the state, and we're expanding beyond the state. So it's been good. All right.
If you want, you want to bring your laptop over here, I can page through it.
Yeah,
If you, as
that
you
works.
go. It doesn't seem like that HDMI is working, so hopefully this one will.
Told you, I love technology.
All right. So we'll just go ahead and give me 1 second. I do a lot of startup pitches. If this were a startup pitch, they would be ticking down that clock. I would just have less time to present, so I'll have to speed Awesome, okay, so I'll just jump right in. So we are here with Granite Table, and we're really excited to put forth this idea in front of you, not only as supporters, potential supporters of this initiative, but also as very well-connected and influential people in our community. So I don't think any of us are strangers to the fact that St. Cloud, the greater St. Cloud community, go ahead and click forward. I don't think we're any strangers to the fact that we've faced some challenges when it comes to PR and the perceptions, especially of outsiders, of our community. And I think all of us work very hard every day against these negative perceptions. But it's not just about the stories that others tell about us, it's also about how we live in this community and are we a thriving community. And so for that reason, we have started the Granite Table. So if you can go ahead and progress. The challenge we face is that there is a lack of alignment. We know that there are lots of organizations working at the same time on the same things without knowing about the other organizations that are doing so. I'm sure you've all been a part of organizations like this. You chip away at something for months, sometimes years, only to find out that an organization just on the street has done the same thing. And what happens is you have an overlap of efforts, really fractured and stunted growth opportunity from that overlap. So if you want to go ahead and progress, we started the Granite Table. So go ahead and click. We are a nonprofit organization representing the greater St. Cloud community with the goal of connecting and supporting action groups in the community. So we started in 2020, and we have been working since then to figure out how this group is going to impact those parameters I just mentioned. We're made up of over 20 individuals from each of the 6 surrounding communities. We're based on a Communities of Excellence model. Now, this is a nationally recognized model that operates in communities like Greater St. Cloud to do this type of work. And we're rooted in something called the Baldrige methodology. So I see some nods for those of you who are familiar with all sorts of different business operating systems. This is like an operating system for complex community challenges, and it's rooted in data. So this is just a high-level overview of what that looks like. A system methodology to community building. It starts with knowing what our current story is, envisioning what a future story could look like, and then collectively working towards that future story. And then to make it a little bit less opaque, if you want to just go ahead, it could also look like this. So when we talk about SEEN, what we really mean is a community scorecard that really reflects what is happening, a report that's open to the community to understand how we're performing in certain areas. When we talk about believing, we're talking about bringing together that 6-area community representation to develop these strategies together. And then when we talk about doing, it's about the collective action, getting the right people in the room to work on these issues. So I know some of that can seem very vague and high level, so I wanted to share a little bit about what we're going to do in the next 12 months. And go ahead and just click a couple times. 4 bubbles up there, perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is select focus areas based on data, based on what our communities collectively are struggling with. And then we're going to educate the steering committee on those issues. That alone is going to offer great value because the people who are in the steering committee are really influential in their communities, right? So just by knowing and understanding the challenges, they can begin to take actions to impact those. But we're going to take it further. What we want to do is take those focus areas and create open to the public events in which we are bringing the stakeholders that are working on that issue into the same room to talk about that issue. So earlier I mentioned the overlapping efforts. one more, the community scoreboard is underway. And then the next slide, you'll just see a quick overview. This doesn't even include everyone, but there are a lot of organizations who have already indicated their support either with a donation or a pledge of a donation. There are a lot of businesses, nonprofits, and government entities who support this idea and what we're doing. So, if we could progress. What we're seeking today is a $3,000 investment into this idea. And this would cover operational costs like filing for a 501c3, hiring an executive director to help execute on this work, and other startup costs. And we are also seeking amounts from other communities that fall into this 6 community area. Additionally, we want to really get in front of you and the St. Joe community so that we can garner support in other areas like communication. And if you want to click 2 more times, so connection to resources, that's not always money. Sometimes it's being connected to the right business owner at the right time to make something happen. Sometimes it's passing the word on. So as we're putting together these collective community events, we're making sure that St. Joe is represented in that space. So if we can do all of this, go ahead and click a couple times here. The goal is to be inspired by communities that are doing this really well. Investigate, innovate, and invest in those areas so that we can become the inspiration to other communities across our country. And that is what I have for you today. We welcome any questions or comments.
Counselors?
Is this model being done in other communities around the United States, like this idea?
Yes. So we're part of it's called the Communities of Excellence.
Dave, could I
Learning Collaborative.
Could I get you to the podium so we can take your picture and listen to your voice?
So
Thank you.
it's part of a national learning collaborative called the Communities of Excellence, and it's a wide variety of different sizes of cities. And so the smallest one is McCook, Nebraska. The biggest one is St. Louis, and there's all sorts of things in between. We're probably in the middle of the pack as far as size-wise. One of our challenges is the number of governments we're dealing with. You know, it's not just cities, but we've also got 3 counties and, you know, throw in a state and all those other things. That's our challenge in this region. So the part of the scorecard especially, we've got several measures that have been already established, and basically the national group is asking that we all do those same measures so that we can compare to each other. There's all of these measures are publicly reported things that we're starting with. So a little more detail about the scorecard itself. So there'll be high-level measures that'll get out on the website, on our website when we get there. There's about 10 of them will be there. They'll be very broad. So one is median income. Another one is graduation rate, housing problems, life expectancy. Underneath that, and maybe not on the website, but in our background database will be a number of other sub-measures. So what contributes to, say, life expectancy? You know, and so can we start drilling into it? And we're trying to build in the flexibility so that if we're not getting what we want off the current measures, we can flex and get the ones that really get at that root cause.
And I'll just add to that, it's not just about looking at the data, which is important, of course, and reporting up to the communities of excellence, but really that data is what begins to drive our decisions ongoing. What should we be focusing on as a group? What should we be collectively working towards?
Yeah, so it's interesting, the national group, we're all so very, very, very different. Yet our methodology has lined up. We were all kind of just, when we started, it was just let go and figure out how to get this done. The methodology is just lining up, and we're learning from each other on, oh, that works, and, you know, our problems are all gonna be unique, and, you know, you've gotta make it local so that you can get at what is your area. But there's a lot of information behind that. The other aspect of that knowing piece, so that's one corner of that knowing, setting the context, is pulling together. There's a lot of surveys in our area already. So there's I deal with the hospital, and so we get a community health survey every couple of years, and then there's a social capital survey, and there's number of other surveys of that nature, and so we wanna build those in and build a report so that there's a summary of common understanding of what's going on in the region.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so I'm a simpleton, so that's why I'm just gonna clarify here for myself. And so the reason why you're doing this is to really help so they're not repeating in the community. And I'm sorry, I wasn't really good at tests, so when you say scoreboard, it's kind of like, if you don't meet this amount, then you don't pass go and you don't collect $200 or you don't get that A. Is that how, I mean, what is the main purpose of this? Of course, to help one another, to know that, hey, we're doing this and this can help you, but what else does it contribute to?
You're hitting on the important part.
Okay,
So, yeah, I mean, if it was just a scorecard, it's just another scorecard, you know. What this really is about is that gathering the leadership together and getting that consensus. What's going on in our area? What's the root cause issues? And can we get past the Band-Aid solutions that often come up? Work together with, you know, so, you know, you've got United Way working on something, and then they'll have the school district doing something, and then you'll find the hospital doing something else, and they're all working on the same problem, but nobody's talking to each other. And so the intent is, let's find that core area, what's the real issues that's holding us back as a community, or what is our strength, build on that as well, so we will find strengths in this as well, and use that information to say, hey, we think if we've got opportunities to either fix this or, you know, improve that, and by working together cross-sector, you know, go into a solution that's much more robust than, you know, just dealing with a simple problem.
And I think a lot of this is about connection and getting the right people in the room. So I'll use the childcare crisis as an example, clearly a need in our community. When have we ever had a collective event that brings together the United Way childcare crisis cohort, the local childcare centers, the healthcare opportunities here, because obviously they impact this, and maybe even builders and government officials and anybody who touches childcare into a room to talk about how are we going to actually fix this? How are we going to build the solution? A lot of that happens in a very fractured way. You might have a couple of those groups getting together, and it takes a long time. So how can we shorten that process, and how can we get people in the same space?
thank you.
Any other questions?
Staff, want anything? Very good, so we'll take this under advisement for next meeting,
Okay.
okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
What is it, 7?
7.
7, nomination and appointment of acting mayor.
I move to make nominations for Kevin as acting mayor. Did I say that right?
Yep. You make a nomination for Kevin.
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close the nomination period. And now we need to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kevin as acting mayor of 2023.
Second. Motion and second to appoint acting mayor Kevin Klusner for 2023. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I touch the gavel?
Can have the darn thing. Item 8, approval of annual appointments and designations.
I move to approve the designations and appointments as presented.
Second, motion and second to approve the annual appointments and designations. There's some changes we need to talk about a little bit. And we can bring these back, or we can just, I'm not sure what you guys wanna do. So on the CVB, there are 2 additionals. We are adding Leslie Lane, whose term is still available, like that 2024. And Tracy Smith is also gonna stay. That gives us 8 members, and we're allowed to go 7 to 10. I've talked to them both. We talked about attendance a little bit at the last meeting, and we can bring that up. But they still want to be included in this, so we should make that change. The park board, Ron and I are still in discussion on how to fill the last member. We haven't got any applications. We've reached out a couple of different people. We haven't got anybody responding yet, so we'll have to, we're gonna kind of knock heads and figure out what we want to do with that, but, so that's still an open position. And I'll have to talk to some planning commission members because Keith, who's on the joint planning board, can't make that second Tuesday because of fire commitments. So I'm not sure what I'll do there. We want to remove Keith and put a TBD in there for now. And I'll talk to some of the other commission members. I'm pretty sure Mark would do it, but I don't think he's aware that that went with it. So I'd like to touch base with him for sure. So those are the changes I'd like to make.
I do have concerns, two different ones. One is appointing and two is how the process happens. I really think that we should adopt some kind of application for each committee. I think it's important that it should come across the city council for these appointments. I think the terms should be, some of them are, and I thank you for that, Kayla. But I think it's important that the city has adequate time to be able to see the postings. And so I think it needs to be dived into a little bit more. This is the first I've actually brought it to the full council, and bummed that two of them are missing. But I really think we should look at that second concern of mine a little bit closer and clarify that a little bit better on how people come on to the committees and how the city finds out and how they can apply. And then my first concern is, I feel ever since I started, I have been, every time somebody has come on new, I have been moved. And I've really been enjoying the CVB. I've really been enjoying the park. And I'm just starting to get settled in there. And so I'd really like to stay on the CVB and see my 4 years out with that. But I know we have to look at it every year to year, so I understand that. But those are my two concerns.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
So I'm in favor of voting with the slate as presented, taking note of Councilman Bienick's wishing to stay on CVB. And I also echo what Councilman Bienick said in terms of going forward. We should develop a process sometime this year, the sooner the better, for the next time around, that it is more of a open forum, people applying, council having a chance to review, potential candidates and things like that. So I'd like to pursue that.
Sure.
At some point in a work session or some other process. It seems like it's too, what if I hear Kelly correctly, like it's too top down. Not that we're not getting good people
Right.
in these positions, but have it to be more collaborative, team-oriented. But outside of that, I'm prepared to vote in favor of the slate as presented.
No problem. So one other thing is, we don't have a rec department anymore. So we could remove that TBD, rec association. Yeah, we don't have a rec association where they're defunct. And so, in response to, and I don't care about the process, in response to you, I'd say we had the opening out there for 3 months and got no applicants.
How is it out there? Because I haven't, except for the website, did we post it in the newspaper? Did we post it in St. Cloud? Did we put it on the bulletin? There's many different, that's something that we need to have more clarification on, is how do we put it out
Yeah,
there?
we use the same method we used in the past.
Which is, because I don't know.
Website, I'm not sure if we've ever used Newsleader or not. Well, maybe we have, maybe we haven't.
I think in the past, maybe we did newsletter,
Yeah.
but yeah, website. I'm
post
trying to
on
think of when
Facebook-
it was posted,
Put it on
December
Facebook, I put it on
sometime.
Twitter.
Yeah, but not
Mm.
everybody's on that. I think it needs to, and we need to
I-
have deadlines for it too, is so that people have that time to be able to get it and see it. So
And-
I think the process needs to be looked at.
And I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah.
It would've been nice if you guys had some people you had in mind to tell them to
Mhm.
apply.
I wasn't asked, so.
You don't have to ask, do you? If you have a candidate that you're
How,
interested in.
how am I supposed to know I can offer, because it says mayor appointed? So I don't know the process.
To apply for the position, you have to fill out an application. If you had somebody interested, you'd
But-
say, go fill out an application.
That's what I'm saying, we need to clarify that, because I don't think we have it. Do we have that certified down where
Yeah.
we can follow? Do we?
I mean, we have an application that people can fill out,
Or do we
as
have a
far as the
deadline?
process,
You're right.
as far as what happens after that app is filled out,
That's different.
then that's
Yeah,
different.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking, is to clarify.
Yes, and we haven't had like a set deadline either, so that could be another,
Motion and
Topic of
second,
discussion.
accept appointments as presented. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Item 10? Yeah, no engineer, right? Even though it's on here? Okay. Item 10, department reports.
All right,
Jeff?
okay, and Randy, I gave the evening off, he had some conflicts, and it seemed to make sense to do so. Sorry the rest of the gang didn't get that, but that's all right. We all miss seeing you, so everyone wanted to be at the meeting. So anyway, I got a few things to go through here real quick. First one is the community center / YMCA. Working on that, trying to make some progress here. Operations agreement is gonna be discussed with Greg Gack here in the next few days, and then reviewed at the next council workshop on the 24th. So hopefully we'll have something concrete to bring to you at that time. Also, pledge forms are being finalized. The regular meetings of the campaign committee, first Tuesday of the month at 8:30. And Scott Justfig's working on scheduling appointments with individual committee members to talk about their own commitments to the campaign. So it's starting to get juiced up a little bit here with some work that's going on. With regards to the new city administrator and the process, on the 24th, Charlene will be here to present a list of candidates, and then you'll be reducing them down to those that you care to interview, and at that point, the names of those that you want to interview become public. So that will be on the 24th, and it looks like there's a good slate of candidates, so looking forward to that event. Wanted to give you a heads up also on the potential days for the actual interview process. I know it varies from full day event to a half day event. Usually the staff and council interview, normally separately with the council taking input from the staff. But sometimes there's a community component as well. So that'll be part of what you'll be talking about on the 24th with Charlene, is what approach do you want to take towards that process. And then we've got 4 days provided by Charlene. We don't have to stick to these days necessarily. If they don't work, we can move it back or find another date. There's some staff that are going to be here depending on which day, so there'll probably at least 1 or 2 staff people that might have to zoom in on any of these events because of planned vacations. But anyway, so Thursday, February 2nd, Friday, February 4th, Monday, February 6th, and Friday, February 10th.
That would be Friday, February 3rd.
Yeah, it's Friday, February 3rd.
I knew I'd get that wrong. Okay, thank you.
And Monday the 6th is a council meeting?
Yeah, so that's out, unless you want to try to do that, but,
So 3rd, 4th, no 6th.
right.
2nd, 3rd, no 6th.
Okay. Oh, 2nd and 3rd. Okay,
Right,
sorry.
so, everyone on staff doesn't like Friday, I don't know, maybe, but that would be like the last option if we had to, but we'd go that route. Thursday the 2nd then seems like a fairly good date, but If you want to talk about it more, wait for me to collect information from the other council members and then get back to you, and we can kind of, we don't have to decide right now.
Are we talking about the format as well, or just the dates?
Just the dates right now. The format, I think you can talk with Charlene and how you want to set that up.
Okay,
So if you want
On
to
the-
set dates now, you can, and I can check, or we can keep it
well, we
open.
should wait till Adam and Bob.
Yep,
all
I
right.
mean,
Yeah, oh, I agree.
Okay.
So I got a question. So the interview process besides city council will include staff?
It can,
what does that mean?
at your
Department?
discretion. At your discretion, I know the different cities that I've kind of
Yeah.
participated as interim, both the candidates did interview with the staff, and the staff then just made comments to the council as to strengths and weaknesses of the
Okay.
candidates. So
Does
it's just
staff, does staff mean department heads, or does staff mean the
department
whole-
heads.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Department heads.
Is that what we've done in the past?
when
I mean, I think
Chris,
it's odd that someone's gonna be interviewing a potential boss.
Well-
But maybe government's different than private business.
what we did when, I'm pretty sure when Chris was hired, we had actually kind of pop-up events with business coming in
Okay,
and meeting the candidates. And I think we got feedback from staff at the same time. I mean, it
okay,
was more of an informal versus an actual interview setting.
got it.
They met him, they talked with him, you know,
Mhm.
what's your favorite color,
Sure.
whatever. And then we got little cards back, and then the council kind of
Right.
graded at
Use
that,
that as
as
a,
a
another-
filtering, as a
okay.
filtering mechanism.
Yeah.
very good.
So I
Thanks.
suggest we follow a similar format. We get
I
business
agree.
involved, like maybe the chamber, or the CVB, some of the other, you know, entities that would come in and meet on a kind of a pop-up event,
That's a good, okay.
and then get feedback, their perspective as well.
Mhm.
And again, council has the final say, there's no doubt about it, but that, we had some really wide-ranging responses from that pop-up event, so I thought that was very valuable.
Well, we've done that in corporate too, where
Yeah.
it's three
Yep.
different interviewing times. You know, so the first one would be council, second one would be, you know, staff, the third would be community,
And-
kind of thing.
And I know that the last time was really informal, like,
Mhm.
they had different desks in different places, and people just kind of came and went and stuff. But again, I think that format's important, how we want to present our candidates to the general public and get feedback. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, Jeff.
No, that's good.
On the times, are we looking more for an evening with Charlene, or is she looking more for day?
It'd be the workshop day.
Day, okay.
It's during the one of
Oh,
the
workshop,
sessions in
sorry.
one of the items in that workshop.
The other thing you didn't say here is on these dates that you're looking at, are you talking about during the day interviews? or
Yes,
So
it's a
like
full day deal.
noon to 5 or something?
Right,
Or
it
8
might even
to-
start before that.
Okay, that's fine.
But then again, we're gonna talk about on the 24th, how we wanna lay that timing out.
Yep,
You know,
very
just
good.
kinda schedule out that day and
Okay.
how
Sure.
you want it to go.
What time on the 24th?
That's during the regular workshop, 5:30.
Oh, got it.
Yep. Okay, talked a little bit earlier about some strategic planning that we'd like to conduct here in kind of advance of the new city administrator. I mentioned earlier about some of the projects, ideas, and different goals and objectives that I've heard. It'd be an opportunity for us to work together and go through them, and for you to prioritize some of the different ideas that have come out to make St. Joseph a better place. That's gonna require probably 2 workshops. We haven't scheduled out exactly when that's gonna be or how much time it will take. But it does involve getting input from staff with the listing of the different things that they'd like to see accomplished, and then running it by council. Council can add in, and then you'll eventually prioritize those, and then also identify some strategic objectives as well. So 5 or 6, maybe like overarching goals, and then tasks under that you want to get done. They're not all 1 year. Some can be done in a month, some may take years to complete. So that becomes kind of a nice guideline for the new administrator as he or she comes in, gets a good feeling right away, and could possibly, if the timing works out, could participate in the last sessions and hear the prioritization process and be part of that as well. So it's jamming in a lot in the time that I have left, but I think I'm really excited about trying to make it happen, and I think it would be think the city would be served well if we provided that to the new city administrator as he or she takes the reins. So that's kind of the plan. So hopefully we can get all that done. It may require that we have an extra workshop, or we meet before a council meeting, or, you know, the regular cycle of once a month workshops. We might not be able to get it all done. So I'm just kind of putting you a little bit on notice and thanking you in advance for taking that extra time. All right, any questions on that? All right, so, just running through the other items here, just informational. We had the workshop, or the League of Minnesota Cities came here today and had a nice visit with them. And thank you, you know, council members for showing up for that. That was, I think, time well spent. Any comments on that at all?
It was good.
No,
It was.
I wish more people would take advantage of it. I thought that was great to have one-on-one with them.
Yeah, the League of Minnesota Cities just does an outstanding job
They
do.
for its members, and I mean, for us to be able to accomplish what we do as a community within the laws before us and the technical things that the cities have to do, to have that center of knowledge, and their people are really, they're motivated by all the best values to trying to, you know, help cities to provide the best service to their constituents, and I can't say enough for that organization. Okay, Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Capital Day set for 25th. Klusner and Schultz are gonna be there. There's still time to register. City Day on the Hill is March 9th. We have some work to do on, I talked to Mayor Schultz about this morning, getting in position to apply for bond funds for the Gateway Lift Station. We've already got that in the pipeline for approval in 2022, didn't happen, so now we have to reapply if we want additional funds to offset inflation. So we're gonna be getting that set up. We also have, of course, gonna have to get an extension to the $4 million that was provided for the community center. Not necessarily go back to the well, but we have to make sure that money stays in line, and then maybe go to the well for additional if the council so chooses. And then also looking at the sales tax exemption for the community center construction as well. So we got some things we gotta get going, and hopefully next meeting we'll present a package to you for consideration to allow us to move forward on that. Police report on a quarterly basis. We talked a little bit about the benefits. I mean, a monthly report is great, and police department's more than happy to provide a monthly report, but we're thinking that for, you know, assimilating or aggregating information, quarterly reports probably give you better information for understanding trends, plus it's less overall work and more efficient for the PD also. So would be every quarter, the next month, second meeting after the quarter ends, you'd have a sit down and maybe some extended conversation on how things are going, and looking at the stats and that sort of thing. So Dwight's been real positive about that. Dwight, I don't know if you want to add in on that at all?
No, the biggest thing that I just wanted to reiterate is, you know, on average, it takes Mary about 2.5 to 3 hours to generate one of those. And so I do encourage, if council members have questions regarding the report prior to the council meeting, if you could let me know, because Mary knows those numbers inside and out pretty good, and I can have your questions answered that way, so.
And of course, that doesn't preclude any conversation at any meeting to talk about things. It's just your concentration on the PD would wait for quarterly. Okay. Thank you, staff, for all your effort in helping with the orientation for Adam. We've got a pretty nice outline put together, and he gave us 7 hours coming next Monday, so we got to split that out, and then there's quite a bit of time after that, but he's, you know, going to get a full dose, and hopefully he won't quit. No, just kidding. I'm sure he won't. I'm sure he won't. So and he's pumped up about it, so he's ready to go. So we'll look forward to that. And I guess that's pretty much it. We have a breakfast tomorrow at the St. Cloud Chamber to talk about legislative priorities and other things going on in town. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for all your time on this.
Very good. Questions for Jeff, anyone? Thanks, Jeff. Development, community development, Nate?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, economic development, we had a EDA meeting this afternoon, talked about a few things, one of which was the JR Mobile site. We do have a hearing date established for that, to continue on in the process. We did punt the discussion on the comprehensive plan and goals and strategies just because we had a few board members that were not in attendance, so we'll be talking about that in February. Interest in the industrial park properties continues to be significant. We have one perspective that would potentially take 4 or 5 lots, 15 acres out in that industrial park. We also received a site plan application on Friday for a new apartment complex. This would be located off of College Avenue, right across the street from the Riverbend Townhome development. 51 units in the first phase of that. Going down to Planning Commission, we did not have one this month. We did not have a quorum. I will be reaching out to the new members and doing a brief orientation with them this month. And then also we did get another Planning Commission application in over the weekend. So I don't know if that person's interested in Park Board, but if, since that's a spot, maybe just a FYI. CVB this month, we had a full attendance pretty much at the meeting, which was fantastic. So we talked about Shop Small Crawl, Winter Walk, and the upcoming Snowfest on January 28th and 29th. CVB also, as part of the Explore Minnesota grant, completed some drone pictures of the downtown area. So if you would like to see any of those, just let me know. I can shoot them over to you. Other than that, the meetings and events and that is in my memo. I don't really have much to report on those in particular, so I'll be happy to answer questions or if there's any concerns.
Would you give council an update on JR Mobile site?
Yeah, so essentially the hearing that's scheduled is for February 6th, and then part of that hearing, the judge will likely decide if there's an additional time frame where the property owner would need to comply with the order that we had issued in regards to either fixing the building or knocking the building down.
Can you refresh my memory of how long it's been since there hasn't been movement on fixing or updating?
Yeah, so I definitely can't remember the specific dates right now, but
Sorry.
in the terms of the process, we sent off an initial letter that stated our building official and another staff walked the property, identified the needs and the safety concerns. So then we worked with our attorney, sent off a letter, and then that letter was received and served, and then that compliance date was not met. So then the next process is to establish that hearing date, essentially. So that's
And
kind of where we're at.
you'll be present February 6th?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Any questions? Any more questions on that? Is that kind of what you're looking for, Mayor, for the synopsis?
Yeah, just,
Okay.
that the process is going forward. We haven't made a lot of headway. It's been out there a long
About 6 or 8
time.
months then.
It's been lower than
Yeah.
6
Okay.
months. And so we're glad we have the hearing. If you've gone by there, you notice there's a for sale sign on it. For sale by owner, which, maybe he'll sell it in lieu of litigation, tearing it down. Anyway, thanks, Nate. That's all I wanted, to get council up to speed where we're at with the process. Let's see. Finance, Lori?
Well, good evening. Just going to kind of summarize my report. One thing I wanted to highlight is ASME negotiations were last week. Kelly and Bob sat on for the council, and Jeff and I sat on as staff. And we do have a tentative agreement. It has to still go back to their membership for vote before it comes to the council, so we're hoping in early February that we'll be ready for that. Just in general, we're getting working on year-end items, getting ready for our software conversion, which the first training starts February 6th, so there's a lot of work being done for that. Trying to get tax forms out. There's a lot of reporting that we have to do at year-end. That's due January 31st, so we're working diligently trying to get those done. The final thing that I want to report is that we did receive a check for the city of Foley for their purchase of sewer capacity from the city, so we received that check in about mid-December. I did invest some of that money out to try to earn some interest on it before we're gonna use that. That reimbursement, it was really for past debts that we paid through 2023. We're gonna continue paying the city of St. Cloud as we have on our allocation through 2023. And the reason for that is Foley isn't gonna actually make the connection until fall of '23. And so starting January 1st, 2024, they'll start paying their portion on the ongoing and future debts. So we calculated the reimbursement through 2023, and that is the amount that we received in December.
Lori, how much was it?
I believe 1.4 million.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's all I have unless you have questions.
The only question I have is, part of our legislative priorities is going to help fully acquire bond money for the remaining construction. I'm not sure if we know, have we contacted Sarah Brun, what that house file is or anything? She's a CA.
Not to my
for-
knowledge, but we, the area cities through the SCAWAC, through the sewer advisory committee, they have been involved. We did a budget meeting, and Foley is now coming to those meetings as well, so.
Okay,
Yeah, so collaboratively as a group, we will work with supporting that.
yeah, so I talked to Sarah at the CGMC Fall Conference, and that's their next phase. In order to connect, they need the bond money to move forward,
Mhm.
so, okay, thank you. Any other questions for Lori? Anybody? Very good, fire? Jeff?
How are we doing tonight? Real quick, the first chart shows our total calls for the year, 621, highest we've been ever. You can see the breakdown. Obviously, our medical is on top. As of the first 11 days, we're at 21, so 2 a day, roughly. So right on track for last year. Our last 4 members that we hired have started Fire 1, Fire 2 hazmat class. They started on the 5th. It goes through June. Those will be the last 4 that we have needed for training, besides adding on some new people. So looking at doing agility and interviews next Tuesday night with 4 possible candidates. Pumper tanker update, the chassis is supposed to be going back online beginning of February, so we're looking at still an April, May completion date. And grants, FEMA grant opened up. It opens up really quick and it ends really quick. I did meet with our grant writer we used in the past. We're gonna try to write a grant for some new radios. We got 28 of them that are 2006, so hopefully we get that. Others, the snowmobile sealed bids was done January 11th. That snowmobile is sold, and the rescue sled is sold also and is in Rockville Fire Hall now.
Good.
Questions from the council?
Anybody? Anything? Very good, thanks, Jeff. Public Works.
Mayor, council, staff. Snow.
What about it?
No, so in writing up my report, I kind of thought about it a little bit, so I decided I'm gonna give you a brief synopsis of what the last 15-inch snowfall, how it reacted with Public Works, so with our equipment. So in the last snowfall, my main blower went down, the blower that cleans off the streets downtown.
Yep.
I'm still down two front brooms. I had 1 pickup plow truck go down on a Henniker plow. That thing blew apart. Hydraulic lines on the skid loader went down. So that's all just in one snowfall. So, just kind of giving you a picture of how, what this stuff can do for equipment.
Aren't you glad you have a mechanic to fix all
I
that?
am.
It's just-
The mechanic-
I am.
Think about it,
I
buddy.
am. And I'm
No more
down.
snow, in a couple
Yep.
weeks we'll be back.
And I'm down to 1 heavy plow truck also. Both rear leaf springs broke on that truck, so. Yeah, so Derek's busy. So another concern of mine right now is the heavy snow that's out there, getting a lot of complaints of plow trucks hitting mailboxes, right? My plow trucks aren't hitting mailboxes.
It's just no.
It's the snow hitting, it's the heavy snow hitting the mailboxes. I don't have a budget to replace everybody's mailbox that have exceeded their life expectancy. So, just dealing with those kind of complaints. I did sign the Wellhead Protection Plan grant through the Minnesota Department of Health this morning, so that is good to go. And then I've been working on some equipment pricing for upgrading some equipment. Always a struggle these days, trying to get prices, out of these vendors that I can use for at least 6 months. You know, some pricing is only good for that day.
Yeah.
Some pricing is good for 30 days. So that's a struggle. Kleinfelder bathrooms, is almost finished. We're almost gonna do a ribbon cutting out there. We're waiting on the electrical to get finished up out there, for the lighting inside. We need a light pole installed out in the parking lot. So really, all that's left is electrical, so.
Good. That's good.
Other than that, staff, busy with snow. We've been hauling snow ever since the last snowfall. Going on week 2 here. Hopefully we'll finish up with snow hauling by Wednesday, and then our plan for Thursday and Friday is to take down the decorative lights, now that they've melted off. So, prior to that, they were just too heavy to move. Upcoming events, pretty much par for the course. Water, wastewater, continuing education, staff meetings, and we had council workshops, development meetings, city council, and park board. Pending your questions.
Counselors? I just have one. Where's the status of water meter replacement? Do we still, like,
Yep, so we've got the water meter replacement budgeted for 2023, so Lori and I actually just talked about that this morning a little bit, so.
Okay.
We're gonna be talking, a little bit closer here. We'll place the order for this year.
okay,
We wanna get that in sooner than we did last year.
that's
so.
fine. I just wanna make sure it's on the radar somewhere, that's all.
It is gonna be a few year process
Yep.
of budget,
Yeah.
but yeah, we
Okay.
wanna get that ordered here
Yep.
soon.
Very good. Thank you both. Police, chief?
Yeah, mine was pretty brief, mostly because it's January, it's the end of December, and all of our students either go home or go into hibernation, so things are pretty quiet, and I'll take that. I will piggyback off of what Ryan said about the mechanic position. I think at least 4 of our squads all had oil changes in the last couple weeks, so in addition to juggling plow trucks going down and stuff, Derek came in many times saying, I'm gonna have to delay you a day or 2 just because I've got stuff blown apart, and that's fine. I said, that's no big deal. So, but yeah, it's been very good having Derek take care of that. We did actually, and he saved us a lot of money in certain things because we had a domestic this last 2 weeks where one of our sergeants took an unmarked squad that was basically at a rest in the garage and had to respond very quickly before the car had a chance to warm up, and it threw an engine code. And so rather than running it down to 1040 or to somebody else, Derek was able to take it, check on the code, and figure out that it just basically needed to be cleared out, idled for a little bit, and it was fine. So it is very refreshing having him for that kind of stuff. So one of our squad cars, along with Ryan's repairs, did get hit in this last snow event as well. We were out assisting Stearns County as they were tied up, and there was a car that was in the ditch, and somebody else slid into the back of our squad. Fortunately, our officer was inside the squad at the time and not standing behind the squad when this happened and stuff, so, but we're 2 to 3 weeks out apparently for, parts before it can even be looked at again, so it's probably gonna be down for about a month, and it's just the way we're at right now, so. But metal can be replaced, officers can't, so I'm glad the way it turned out, so it's just people need to slow down.
Good.
And then, as far as, numbers go, again, I mean, just like Jeff said too, our numbers are, I could piggyback off the medicals as well, but we're gonna work with those quarterly numbers and stuff, but we ended the year within, I think, 50 ICRs where we were at last year, so there was no great reduction at all in crime. It's just basically status quo, so. Unless you have any questions, that's what I have for you.
Anyone? Very good, thanks, chief. Mayor, council report, missed business. So I'm gonna go over my quick agenda of meetings and stuff. So we had the CSB SJU meeting on the first Wednesday. There wasn't much at that. I mean, we're all from home and the kids weren't back yet, so there's nothing really significant that came out of that. Had the CVB meeting last Monday. I missed the APO exec meeting, I apologize, I have to get in touch with Brian on what went on, but we are gonna seek some funds from the APO to do a transportation study of Westwood Parkway, and that, he knows that's coming. We had League of Minnesota Cities here today, the Chamber Legislative Priorities is tomorrow, the League of Minnesota Cities Board of Directors is on Thursday, and then Kevin and I have some meetings scheduled for Legislative Action Day on the 25th. And then the CGMC Board of Directors meeting's on the 26th. That's kind of my schedule in a nutshell. Questions, concerns? You guys want to talk about anything, council reports?
No, just that we
Miscellaneous
got the
stuff?
Snowfest coming up, and that is
Oh,
from the,
yeah.
from our director, Rhonda, who's been kicking it out of the park. And so that's the 28th and 29th, so, and hopefully you know, as she's advertising and it's out there more, I've been seeing it a lot more, which is great, so thank you, Rhonda, and, everybody on the staff, you guys have been rocking it, thank you for this last year. I'm just so appreciative, ending out my second year, and everything that I have been starting to get interested in and enjoying, you guys have been intricate through that, so thank you for this last year as we start into another year. Number 3 for me, number 1 for Kevin, number 13 for mayor, for the mayor. But that was the biggest because you already talked about the CVB. Bumming that I won't be a part of it, but excited for him.
Item 12,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Thank you.